Hello everyone and welcome to the fifth episode of our podcast. We have Riya joining us today and she's the senior executive of the partnership team. So Riya, can you tell us a bit about your role at Uhomes and what being a senior partnership executive involves?
So basically, I handle partnerships for the India team, and I'm the partnership senior executive. And my role here is basically to onboard educational consultants, loan providers, and all the other additional services that are linked to the student accommodation program, and basically to maintain relations with them. And we help their students get accommodation booked. Also, we provide accommodations in almost all the places like UK, Australia, US, Ireland, Canada, major parts of Europe, Singapore, Dubai. Apart from that, about my journey, I have been working here since 1.5 years now, and I've been in the student accommodation industry for, I suppose, more than 3 years. So I've also previously worked in sales. It has truly been a roller coaster ride for me and an amazing journey simultaneously. There is a lot of things that I've learned, and there is so many things that have been happening and changing. And even the UK accommodation market, I'd say, in general, the accommodation market everywhere, it's pretty dynamic, and I've learned a lot over here.
So when it comes to UK's accommodation market, how has it been like working in that industry? Would you want to talk about a specific city? Suppose I would say Manchester. What makes Manchester a popular city among international students?
So, Manchester, I would say, is again one of the most popular cities where students go for studies. Reason being, I think it has a very, say, popular education, and their education in their universities are very well known in other countries as well. So, say Manchester University or the Manchester Metropolitan University, due to their reputations, their academic reputation, due to their welcoming nature of the city, and very pleasant place, I'd say, is why it's very popular for students around, and also they are also ranked pretty well. So this is one of the most popular places. For the accommodation market, I would say that there are very good accommodations that are available for the students and at affordable prices. I would say one of our managers, IQ Property Management, which has properties like IQ Winslow. Amazing property, amazing amenities, completely student centric. So yeah, it would always feel like home over there.
So when it comes to Manchester, what I have seen and heard is that the cost of living of Manchester is pretty close to London, and that is why it's the second most demanded city apart from London. What students prefer to go to, because not everybody can afford the lifestyle in London, but what you can get close to that is why people go to Manchester.
Manchester, I would say, compared to London, is slightly on an affordable end. It is not same as London, but when you compare Manchester, you can compare Manchester to, say, Edinburgh and Glasgow. They all three almost have the same cost of living. London would almost be 1.5x of what Manchester is currently. So that is why students also who look after their costs and the budget that they are willing to spend make a decision accordingly. And if their budget permits for London, then well and good. If not, the other best options I'd say are in cities of Manchester, Glasgow, and Edinburgh. They all have the same cost of living. They are very well-known universities. They're high-ranked universities. All of them have the same cost of living, even when it comes to stays. Almost it is the same. Edinburgh is also comparatively more affordable than Glasgow and Manchester, but on a bigger picture, it is almost at the same price.
Okay, and so coming to Edinburgh now, what would you say are some of the most popular student areas in Edinburgh that you would recommend in student accommodation sector or someone to like for the students to go out?
So areas which are very student centric, which where students can gel up with each other, and the popular areas are, say, Marchmount. There's an old town over there. There is Newington that is there. They are all basically places where socializing spaces, you can call them. And when it comes to stay, Then in terms of stay, there is accommodation called the Mill. There is called accommodation called the Georgie. These are the most famous places and accommodation places. So definitely the students can make a choice accordingly, and I'm sure they will not regret any of the decisions for accommodation.
That's great. And what type of properties do, according to you, students prefer, like studios or en-suites or shared flats? Because we've asked this question to other guests before, and everyone has a different perspective and opinion. So, what would you say?
So again, like you said, that people do have different opinions, and it is completely depending on their preference and
Yeah.
budget as well. But the most famous and the most student-friendly type of room, I would say, is an ensuite accommodation. Reason being that there is a sense of privacy over there. There is also a sense of making a group. So it is not just you alone, but also you are getting your private space at the same time, because your bathrooms are included in the ensuite rooms in your room itself. But when it comes to shared flats, in that case, your bathrooms are also shared. So honestly, I would always suggest a student to either go for an ensuite room, and if their budget permits, then a studio room. However, non-ensuites are at a lower cost. Mid pricing is ensuite, and then higher cost it comes the studio rooms. So, as far as I have also done sales, and as far as we are looking here in our office, we can also see that en suites are the most selling, high selling rooms. So, those would be the first preferences I would suggest to any student. Then again, it is also up to the student's budget.
Yeah. I think en-suites are always better because you get a bigger space than studios. Studios are usually more cramped, is what I've noticed. Although you do get everything in a studio.
Yes.
But
So when you compare the two
Yeah.
spaces, studios also come with a private kitchen inside
Yeah,
the studio,
they do.
which is why it feels more compact.
yeah,
Meanwhile, ensuite rooms only have your room and your
Private.
bathroom, which is why it feels more spacious. Again, there are a few students who want their own cooking space. In that case, studio is a very feasible option. But when you go for an ensuite room, in that case, it is easy for you to gel up with people. You can talk to more people. There are other students as well. There are all kinds of students from all the universities of the same city that you can gel up with. Also, when you go for ensuite, you have your own hygiene, or your own whole cleanliness is depending on you and how you keep your room and the bathroom. So yes, first and second preference is always ensuite and then studio. And then according to budget, it can also be non-ensuite.
Okay, so now that a lot of students are going to the UK, especially this season, what we've also noticed is a lot of the students preferring France. So, what do you have to say about that, and why are they behaving a bit different according to like the UK bound students?
Okay. So as we've seen a demand in the UK market, because as we all know the major intake is September, there is also a very big demand that has recently come for the France, Europe market, you could say, that includes Germany, France, everything. So I think due to the scholarship programs over there, due to the costing and affordability, a lot of students are also choosing that as an option. We have a lot of inquiries coming in for France. Now, why we see this as one of the markets that we can enter is because it is mandatory for the student to book an accommodation in order to get their visa. So it is always like they book an accommodation for say 3 months so that they can book their visa. And also, it is a very uncertain market. It is a very new market. I think everyone is exploring this market in the industry currently. And definitely, if we get the market right, it is a very big market. Apart from that, a few famous cities, I'd say Paris, Lyon, Bordeaux, Rennes, all of these, there's a lot of demand for such places. So we are also getting into this market. We are giving the accommodations to the student at the most affordable prices, because it is very new market and we need to capture students accordingly.
So the reason these cities in France are currently trending are because it's a new market and a lot of people have not chosen this before, so they see this as a new option.
Yes, they see this as a new option, and moreover, when you say Paris, it is already a very famous place. So anytime whenever you are going, it will always give you a good name. Again, like I said, reputed universities over there and good scholarship programs for the students. Of course, it is a very new market. It is a very emerging market. Like we all know, there is language barriers over there. So we need to definitely work more on it. But we are still being able to help a lot of students for accommodation in France.
And coming to our last question, can you give an example of how you specifically helped a student in their study abroad journey since you're in this industry for quite some time?
So I have dealt with a lot of UK bookings because UK was my major country. But I'll give you an incident for my France booking accommodations. So now in France, for every accommodation booking, you require a French guarantor. So which was initially a very big hassle as it was a new market even for us, and it's a very emerging market. So getting a guarantor for the students is difficult for the students as well, and even as providers. In UK, we of course had a lot of services for guarantors, and I think a lot of relatives are already there in UK. But when it comes to Europe, so my particular student that I dealt with was for I think Paris, and they had the guarantor issue, but they really needed to book an accommodation in the next week. Reason being that they had their visa date coming. So for which we got in touch with, there is there's a guaranteeing service that we have got onboarded recently, which helps us getting guarantor services for the students. So I helped the student with the entire guarantee service for the student. We got their process done in a week's time, and they were all good, and their visa also got approved. So this is one of the major challenge was finding a provider for guarantor, and now we have successfully onboarded guarantee services for even French, for even students going to France.
That's great. And I think that summarizes this episode for students who want to book their accommodation even in France apart from the UK. And I would like to thank Riya for talking with us today. And we really appreciate your knowledge in this industry. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And you can check out the channel for other episodes as well and subscribe to look out for more. Thank you.